He mentioned a couple of injuries, and it's been a big point in this series, and there are a pile. It's obvious. For Anaheim, we start with a pair of 30-goal scorers. Rickard Rakell out of the lineup, won't play, lower body injury. He had 33 in the regular season. Patrick Eaves, 32 in the regular season, lower body. Logan Shaw, and then John Gibson. We'll see if John Gibson goes. On the Preds side, okay, so Kevin Fiala broke his leg. He's out. Mike Fisher, as you heard, doubtful. Their leading scorer, Ryan Johansson, he's done for the rest. Craig Smith is questionable. It is, I mean, it's not just this series either. As most hockey fans know, the Pens have been battered by injuries to some of their best. We can roll through them. Chris Letang, Sidney Crosby, Matt Murray, Hornquist, Russ, Daly, Schultz. List goes on. Sens leader Erik Karlsson playing through an injury. All playoffs, missed the team skate today. Burrow, Ceci, Broussard, all missed practice today. I know the NHL sells its war of attrition in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and they are the toughest athletes in the Big Four. I heard Willie Colon, a former offensive tackle for the Pittsburgh Steelers, say as much, so football guys don't get mad at me. But does it seem like this year's war of attrition is more dangerous than ever? And before you answer, let me give you some numbers. It appears as though the last two seasons stick out a little bit. There have already been 193 man games lost due to injury in this year's playoffs. They will catch last year by the end of the conference finals, and as you can see, last year, significantly more than each of the last. Mr. Brunt, knowing full well that many people in this country celebrate this, the game is getting more and more dangerous. Are we asking, when are we asking too much of these athletes?
Well, it's a heck of a,
are we?
Well, it's a heck of a question, Tim, because we do celebrate it. We celebrate this tournament, especially the 4 rounds to get to the Stanley Cup is separate from the season. It is a different challenge than the season. The hockey is different than the regular season, and it's not cheap. Right? The Stanley Cups do not come cheaply, and that is part of the lore of hockey, and the allure of hockey is that if you're going to get there, if you're going to get to hoist that mug at the end of it, you are not going to just be able to win a President's Trophy and then cruise to victory. It doesn't happen.
Right.
But I think especially with the style that's being played right now. Right? There are no cheap ways to win hockey games right now in the NHL.
No.
You know, and normally if we were talking about
shot blocking.
Shot blocking is always part of the playoffs, but you know, the possession game, a lot of it is about physical, imposing your will on other players, forcing players off the puck, retaining the puck with all kinds of resistance.
Right.
Big, strong guys. There have been very few walks in the park, even in some of the blowout games we've seen. If we've seen a few blowout games in these playoffs, but most of the games are hard won and hard fought from every minute. You know, usually we talk about vicious in the playoffs or violence in the playoffs. We'd be talking about fighting.
Right.
But that's irrelevant, right?
No,
it's got nothing to do with that. It's about mano-a-mano contact. And
what I've been saying to the anti-fighting people the entire time is that sometimes it's more dangerous in other aspects of the game than it is when guys punch each other in the face with knuckles. And that's hard for a lot of people to understand. But the game is inherently dangerous. There's nowhere to hide. The puck's moving fast. The players are moving faster than they ever have in the past. And my question in this spot is, we celebrate it, and I'm right there with celebrating it. I think it is the toughest sport to play. But when you start losing all of your stars, and when you look around at the names not playing in this playoffs, is it going too far?
Well, I'm not sure. I'm trying to think how you could roll it back just enough to protect people so that players
the referees could start calling penalties.
I guess they could.
Don Cherry even said, when Don Cherry says this is the most vicious series that he's ever seen, maybe it's time to start blowing the whistle early in a game and setting a different kind of tone.
I guess you could, and I guess you could call it more by the book that way. But then you
could call the rules in the book.
The rules in the book, because they're called the penalties that are penalties. Yeah. But then we would be into complaints about ticky-tacky penalties and power plays deciding games and referees deciding games and referees imposing themselves on. Look, again, part of the lore and myth of the playoffs, they've always been refereed differently than the regular season.
Yeah.
Now, third periods used to be refereed differently than the first periods in the playoffs. That's part of what people expect in the spring at all. And I know, like, this does seem like more of an absolute bare bones war of attrition than I can ever remember. You know, and we're not to the last round yet.
No.
But I'm not sure. You know, until fans, and again, fans would like to see all the stars play, but I'm not sure fans are complaining about the play.
No.
I think they want to see that. They want to see it all laid out on the ice.
Even when the guy comes off the bench, loses a tooth, and scores a goal, right? I mean, that is It is unbelievable what we've seen this year. Let's bring a third voice into the equation. That voice is of the global ambassador of Tim and Sid, John Shannon, who joins us from his palatial abode, fresh with an Emmy over his right shoulder. Mr. Shannon, good day to you, sir.
Boys, how are you? Hey, listen, I take a little bit of an issue, Timmy, with you saying the referees should call penalties. You know, those checks are legal. I mean, how do you call penalties on legal body checks? And that's the issue. I mean, the intensity and the amount of hitting that are legal is the issue, more than anything else. And I think that when you talk about, I mean, I think there are still penalties to call. I think the stick fouls are horrendous, and they should be calling more stick fouls. But body on body, they're legal.
No, I agree with you. But if you want to comb through the tape of every period in the playoffs, we could call 40 penalties in the first period of every game if we really wanted to by the book.
As we could call holding on every offensive play in the National Football League. Probably,
right. And all I'm saying is there a point where we've gone too far, where they're too fast, too big, too strong?
Well, you know, I think that's another question. You know, and I really think that when they changed the rules, they did so many things in 2006. They stopped allowing goaltenders to handle the puck to help their defensemen. Yep. They got rid of the red line for offside. So what happened was there was a ton more speed put into the game, and that left defensemen defenseless in so many ways. And I think we got too fast too soon in 2006, and we haven't been able to adjust. And really what's happened since then is people have gotten faster. And equipment, the skates make everything is more streamlined. The players are in better shape. They skate faster. Every aspect of the game is at a higher level of intensity. And that's the one thing that I would suggest that I don't know how you slow it down. I mean, it's not like IndyCar where you can put a limiter on things.
No. Yeah, and that seems contrarian too, John. The notion that you were trying to, like, one of the hockey's greatest virtues is its speed.
Yeah.
Right. And to say, well, we've got to slow this game down. We don't want guys being able to move as freely as they can on the ice. That kind of goes against the entire spirit and the aesthetics of hockey, doesn't it?
Totally. And the other thing I think, Stephen, that we tend to get we make this assumption that all of this physical play and all of these injuries now are caused because there's no fighting. And I'm not sure that 1 and 1 equal 2. I think that there's some aspect where fighting and the policing of the game might protect the players, but not near as much as some people are advocating. I mean, I just think that injuries happen when players play with this intensity. I mean, all you have to do is look at these numbers. I mean, that to me is phenomenal when you consider the man games lost to injury. Now, some of those are probably guys like Johansson, who, I mean, that was a freak accident, and I'm not sure you can do much more about that.
All right, let's focus in on the two series then, and we'll start with the Predators and the Ducks. Who do you think the injuries favor in this series? Because I thought without Fisher, without Johansson, it might be done for Nashville, and they come back with a win. Do you think that they can win without those two guys again tonight?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, the one thing the Predators have done is proved that they're a lot deeper franchise, and the guys coming out of the American League in Milwaukee have done a very good job for them. You know, I mean, Auberg has done his job when you score goals like that. I mean, to me, they are a deeper machine, and they play a system. You know, they play the same system in the American League that they play in the NHL, so therefore it's easy to plug a guy in. I must admit I was a little bit shocked that they played so well without Johansson in the lineup. You know, that line has been so good all season long for them. At the same time, you know what? I mean, both teams really, you know, at the trade deadline, they added 2 or 3 guys for this simple reason, you know, just in case. They need depth guys. I mean, Nashville's now gone through 18 forwards in this series. Anaheim's gone through 15. They usually only dress 12. So from that perspective, both management groups and the coaches understood what they needed to do to get to this point. And you know what? They'll probably get to 20 before it's over if Nashville gets to the Stanley Cup final.